Welcome to Stonewatch, and today we're talking about Top Gun Maverick. And if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button and click on that bell so you can notify for future videos. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And yes, while I was out in California for Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, I was able to get a hold of a ticket for a pre-early screening of Top Gun Maverick at the famous Chinese theater, and it was so damn awesome. I mean, the place is just so damn beautiful. It was so cool to see a movie in that historic landmark of cinema. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was like wax figures and stuff like that of Alfred Hitchcock and Stan Lee. Then there was like a Darth Vader costume, and then I think there was like an Obi-Wan costume there and stuff like that, which is kind of really fitting considering what we got to see this last week, right? That show is awesome. Please check out the video. And this movie was so damn cool. It's probably, as of right now, this movie is my top movie of the year, right? I mean, this movie had everything. It had action, it had drama, it had nostalgia and stuff like that because it is based off a movie that's 36 years ago, right? So, I mean, and they did it good. It wasn't like they totally kept on hitting you over the head with like, here's this famous moment. Hey, remember this? I mean, there was kind of like that stuff in there, but they weren't hitting you over the head with it. You know what I mean? And then it was a little bit different this time because when they had this group of pilots here at Top Gun, they weren't just training just to be Top Gun pilots. They were actually training for a mission. They had a purpose. Where like in Top Gun from back in 1986, when they got done graduating, their thing just happened out of the blue. It wasn't like a totally thing. They were just training to train when they were there. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like this one actually had a more of like a serious story to it, right? And all the aerial shots were just totally phenomenal. Now, I heard before seeing this movie that they had over 800 hours of footage of them up in those planes. And like they figured it out how to mount the cameras inside the cockpit of those jets so you could actually get the more immersed feel of actually being in that cockpit when they were taking off from the aircraft carrier or coming in for landing or during all the dogfighting and stuff they had to do. Now, when they were laying out the plan on what they were going to do with these pilots, I have to admit, I'm sorry. I kept on, they were laying out there, had to go down this trench, go up this mountain and back down to hit this target. But as they were laying this out, I couldn't help but think about that briefing scene from Star Wars New Hope.
The approach will not be easy. You're required to maneuver straight down this trench and skim the surface to this point. The target area is only 2 meters wide. It's a small thermal exhaust port right below the main port.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if they would have threw that line in there just to kind of throw that in there, that would have been so damn awesome. It would have been so cool, especially being based on a movie that was kind of like continuing from the 80s. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they might as well have said it because of the way they were laying out their plan. That's pretty much what popped in my head. The first thing that popped in my head was that line from Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? Other than the fact that obviously I'm a Star Wars fan, but I couldn't help but think it because to me, that was the Death Star trench run. Top Gun Maverick is a 2022 American action drama film directed by Joseph Kosinski and written by Ehren Kruger, Eric Warren, Singer, and Christopher McQuarrie, from the story by Peter Craig and Justin Marks. It's a sequel to the Top Gun of 1986. Set 36 years after its predecessor, it follows Maverick's return to the United States Navy Strike Fighter Tactics Instructor program, also known as Top Gun, where he must confront his past as he trains a group of young aviators, among them the son of Maverick's deceased best friend, Goose. Development for a Top Gun sequel was announced in 2010 by Paramount Pictures. Cruise and Kilmer were approached to return in their roles from the original, as were the producer Jerry Bruckheimer and director Tony Scott. By mid-2012, a draft of the screenplay was finished. However, Scott died by suicide and the film's pre-production was put on hold. The film is dedicated to Scott's memory. In June of 2017, Kosinski was hired and wrote a new draft of the script. Principal photography took place May of 2018 to April of 2019 in California, Washington, D.C., and Maryland. The film was shot using IMAX certified 6K full-frame cameras. Its release, initially scheduled on July 12th of 2019, was delayed first by efforts to shoot several complex action sequences and then by the COVID-19 pandemic and scheduling conflicts. Top Gun Maverick premiered at CinemaCon on April 28th of 2022 and was theatrical release in the United States on IMAX, 4DX, ScreenX, and Dolby Cinema on May 27th of 2022 by Paramount Pictures. It will also be released on Paramount Plus after its theatrical run. The film was released with a widespread critic praise, with many reviewers deeming it superior to its predecessor. Top Gun Maverick had an opening of $250 million plus and now has grossed almost $608.5 million worldwide, making it the fourth highest grossing film of 2022. Starring in this movie, Tom Cruise, Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly, John Hamm, Glenn Powell, Monica Barbaro, Louis Pullman, Ed Harris, and Val Kilmer, just to name a few. Currently coming out of week 2, Top Gun Maverick is sitting with a Rotten Tomatoes score of 97% out of 382 top critics so far reporting in, and with an audience score of 99% with over 25,000 plus fans saying, "We love this movie." Right? I mean, without a doubt, that's almost 100% for crying out loud. So, and with a budget of $175 million, and it so far has grossed $500 million in 2 weeks, this movie is definitely going to be profitable. I mean, they're definitely already in the black. They've already made their money back and what have you. So, and this movie, again, is like my favorite movie of the year so far. And any other movie right now is going to be a really steep climb for them to actually knock this thing out of my number one. I mean, because again, this movie had everything in it. The one thing I thought was kind of funny is they explained why Meg Ryan wasn't in the movie. I don't know whether or not she was approached or not, but they explained that her character actually passed away. But the Kelly McGillis character was not mentioned once. Not once. Not in passing, anything. They didn't even mention her. I mean, they didn't. It's like she wasn't even there. I mean, what happened, right? I mean, obviously 30 some odd years has passed, and like now we've got this love interest going on with Jennifer Connelly's character, and like that, and they set it up to where there's history, but we didn't get to see that history. We weren't there, right? But you could feel the history there. But what happened with the other chick? Not that, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because it still turned out to be a pretty damn good movie. But I don't know, that was like my one little thing about this, I mean, but it was really cool to see Tom Cruise come back, reprise his role as Maverick, and I think I liked his character better now than I did back then, especially during the stealth fighter thing at the beginning of the movie where he's like a test pilot and they're trying to reach 10 G's and stuff like that, and they're about ready to get shut down, so he does it anyway. I mean, just pulls the Maverick thing and does it anyway, which he would automatically go to jail even if he pulled it off. I mean, let's be serious, right? But it was still funny for him to see him do it, and he pushed it a little bit further and ended up crashing the damn plane, so that would make it even worse, right? So, but according to that admiral, he saved those people's jobs just for a little while longer because he was talking about how like they're going to unmanned planes. At first when I heard that they were going to go with this storyline in this movie, I'm like, did we already see this with the movie Stealth? I mean, remember that movie? I mean, that movie was okay. It was all right, but I'm like, we're going to do that again. We're going to have these pilots going up against unmanned planes, which they never do. They bring up the whole unmanned fighter planes, but we don't actually see any. Right, so that wasn't like a factor. Like they were dealing with like 5th generation fighters that they had to deal with. But even though we never hear the country that we're going to like stop with their illegal uranium enriched project. We tell them that you can't have that. We can, but you can't. But they never really said where. Right? I mean, it kind of looked like maybe it was just me. But I mean, that was like the one thing about 2 nitpicks that I got with this movie. Like it's like we don't know who we were actually fighting. Even though we actually had a mission, Death Star Trench, but we had a mission, but we don't know who we were actually doing the mission against, right? So I think you would kind of need to know that even in these day and age, you need to know who you're doing with, because they're going to see you coming. And it was so cool to see Val Kilmer back up on the screen. I mean, that scene was actually pretty awesome. I have to admit, when I first heard that he was actually going to be in this movie, possibly, and I'm like, and after watching the Val documentary, I'm like, how are you going to be able to pull that off? With the throat cancer and everything, he can barely talk. How is he going to be able to do this role, right? I mean, and they were actually able to do that. They utilized a computer screen in the room that he would type something on, and then he did say a one line like at the very end, and I think he had a little help with a little AI and stuff like that they've been using a lot lately with other Star Wars characters and stuff like that. So that was actually kind of cool for him to actually deliver a line. And it was a very powerful scene. I thought it was perfect. I mean, I wish he could have been in it more so than what he was, but I thought it was pretty damn awesome to see him back as far as I'm concerned. I was like, that's awesome. And it was pretty much icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned. So, and I got to say, I like this young group of pilots.
Everyone here is the best there is. Who the hell are they going to get to teach us?
Rooster, Hangman, Payback. I can't remember all the other ones. Bob. That was it. Bob was like one of my favorites and stuff like that. And of course, Rooster, right, with Miles Teller coming in, playing Goose's kid, stuff like that. And he kind of looked just like Goose and what have you. And like that part of the story I liked a lot. It pretty much played out the way I thought it was going to be quite honest, but I liked the way how it all played out. And then people were kind of giving him like flack and how he was like wearing the same glasses, the same shirt, playing the same song on the piano. But I forgot he was there at the bar in the first Top Gun movie. So he was there when his dad was playing it. So that'd be like a really cool memory. I could see somebody like doing that, you know what I mean? I mean, and that made it even better, to be quite honest with you. I mean, it was a little like, oh my God, really? But at the same time, I don't know, I loved it. And then all the other pilots were actually pretty cool. Even Hangman was pretty cool. He was kind of like a Maverick / Iceman character all rolled up into one, you know. But I think, he should have had a little bit more to do, because he was sitting there trying to find out why Rooster didn't like Maverick so much, because he didn't really tell anybody like what was totally going on. But I don't understand why he went out of his way to let everybody else know. I thought that was kind of like a dick move. You know what I'm saying? That I was like, well, why'd you have to do that, man? I mean, why'd you have to do that? That's just, But other than that, I like this young group of pilots. Now, there's like a rumor floating around that they might, if this movie does really, really well, they might do a spinoff on that. Maybe, but could you do another movie without Tom Cruise also involved or in it? Right? Because at the end of this movie, he's retired. He's done flying, at least Navy fighter planes, right? So I don't know if you could do a third one without Tom Cruise. I mean, I'm not really sure how well that would actually do. I think it would almost come out to be like an Iron Eagle 6. Remember those movies? I mean, without Tom Cruise, that's pretty much what it is, right? So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Let me just think about that in the comments down below. All I can say is this movie's awesome. I can't say it enough. I can't. I mean, I love this movie, and I can't wait to go see it again. And if you have not seen this movie and you've already listened to this much of this video, go see that movie on the biggest screen that you can. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm hoping to be able to see it in IMAX again, because that's how I saw it over there in California, and that was just so phenomenal. And hopefully this time I can actually sit next to somebody who wouldn't be sitting there running their mouth. That was like my one thing I didn't like about the Chinese theater. The guy and his wife or girlfriend that was sitting next to me, they would not shut the hell up. They just, yep. It's like, dude, really? I paid $30 for this. What the WTF, dude? You know what I'm saying? I hate when people do that. I mean, I wanted to say something, but I just really wanted to focus on the movie. I'm just going, you just shut the, you know what I'm saying? I hate when people talk in the movie, man. I mean, especially when $30. And I'm a cheap, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, that was like the one bad thing about seeing that movie in that theater was that dude. Other than that, I love that movie. So if you get a chance to see this movie, I highly recommend. I mean, I can't say it enough. So, did you see Top Gun Maverick? Let me know in the comments down below. Where does this movie rank with you so far this year? Let me know in the comments down below. I mean, I cannot say it enough. I love this movie, and I cannot wait to go see it again. So let me know what you think in the comments down below.